Greetings and salutations, all you beautiful individuals. It is yet another epi of League Unlocked. Eric and Mark with you guys to break down an absolute clash, a meeting at the summit of greatness within the LCK. And here we are, barely 24 hours, proclaiming, along with many other people, Dplus Kia, the best team on the planet right now. Has been for multiple weeks. They match up against T1, who's kind of struggling, slumping. But something happened with Peyz and T1 on the day because they woke up angry and they chose violence against Dplus Kia.
I think that it's fair to highlight Peyz and T1 and the role that they played in this series, but I think it was everybody on T1 that stepped up on the day and improved their performance and found a way to be arguably the cleanest, most perfect series we have seen from T1 in maybe the last 3, 4, 5 years type of situation. This one was a bit of a crazy one, and not for the reasons that you would have expected heading into this head-to-head between Dplus Kia and T1, as you alluded to. Fresh off ourselves and many other people in the community crowning Dplus Kia the #1 team in a global power ranking situation, giving them their flowers for the run that they've been on for the last month and a half or so. And the magic seemed to run out in this matchup because it was all T1. I think there was a little bit of chaos, maybe a slight minor circus moment towards the beginning, but you know what? This time around, it's not all the T1 getting involved. It's Owner and Doran sitting on the sidelines, and it's the circus around Faker in the mid lane. And of course, he's pretty familiar with running a circus around that mid lane.
And he's familiar with being the icon, the role model for a guy like Showmaker. Had to remind him why he is that status. But yeah, I mean, I'm not used to seeing games so clean out of T1. You know, getting a 4K gold lead before 10 minutes and never looking back, not really throwing the lead whatsoever. The bot lane gets a 2v2 kill in game 2, and that's enough for the snowball. It's over. Peyz kind of ints it once, but aside from that, it's because this guy is so only point and click forwards, flashing in 1v3, engaging. This Lucian did 42,000 damage in the game. You had to combine the 3 carries, all 3 of them on D+, to get that level of damage. He did more than Showmaker and Smash combined. Showmaker CEO, you need all 3 carries to even equal his damage output.
This is one of the things that Peyz brings very special to this T1 lineup, and it's one of the avenues that I think you could have that comparison with the prior T1 ADC in Gumayushi, and look at how aggressive they have played when they're at their very best and moving forward. And the best thing about that for Peyz is, unlike a situation with JDG or some of the other teams in the past where you haven't been able to capitalize on you being that aggressive player, on being that click forward and making things happen, T1 is lined up and ready to make sure that you're going in, you're going full throttle. We're there right there with you, and we are going to make sure that it's the nexus of the other team getting destroyed, and that was the case today, and it was business-like from T1. They were all over the place, but it was very controlled. It was very methodical out of this squad, which even in some of the most dominant series that we see out of T1 is not the case of how things play out. So this certainly did feel like a little bit of an anomaly for a lot of reasons. One, on the side of Dplus Kia, halting the run that they had been on, and T1 winning in the fashion that they were able to win today.
And the fashion they were able to win, I think no coincidence, no mages in the bot lane. Either AD carry both of these games. You get the Jhin and then the Lucian. So I think whether or not that's the pivot back to this meta, we'll see, because the LPL is still playing mages nonstop in the bot lane. But you see the lethality of this T1 bot lane when Peyz isn't on Ziggs, you know.
Yeah, is it simply just a situation of that, okay, this is, kind of a one-off where the meta or overall overarching meta didn't really have too much of a factor in that position specifically? Or is this a case of, what we have seen in the past where T1 is able to say, that's everyone else's meta. Here's our meta and what we can play and what we can make viable and work. And I think that might be one of the cases here is whether this is simply going to be one of those situations where maybe this is more of an open territory. Little changes have come through that it is more possible to roll that as a viable option, or is it still the substandard option compared to where mages are and what freedom and possibilities you can take it to if you are capable of maximizing those type of champions in this position?
And obviously on the Dplus side, still need to see more games to know, was this just a bit of a dud and a solid performance out of T1. We're not going to say they've completely crashed back to reality just yet.
I think outside of maybe going perfect this whole split, you were going to come to a situation like this with Dplus Kia, where you would have one of these losses and you would have to have that reevaluation of whether you truly believe in that squad, or at the same time, do you believe in the chaos that we have in this top tier of the LCK, where you're just going to see teams beating each other? It's going to be one of these ones where if you want to overreact on something going wrong with a team, you kind of have to hold it back for at least one or two other instances of seeing, bad or poor performance before you jump on it right now type of situation, because of just how volatile all these teams are within that top tier of the LCK.
And it's T1 didn't throw, as we said, they were clean. But in the LPL, there were most definitely some throws on the day. We had some big-ish matchups, talking top of the table in the Nirvana group with IG versus NIP. But the more egregious throw on the day is Anyone's Legend against World Elite, who do it, again, not once, but twice, proceed to get 2-0'd by World Elite, and AL were in control for both of these. Tarzan Snefiri gets crazy fed, which usually is a triple check mark. This game is done and dusted, and they won up that by even throwing, I believe it was a 9K gold lead in game 2.
Man, I think the LPL said, "Oh, you got nothing on the circus front from T1? Don't worry, we'll step up our production of the circus for you boys." And man, oh man, the Fiestas were going strong in the LPL, and as you laid out, none, I think, bigger than what you can look at with WE and Anyone's Legend. And specifically, this is a continuation of something that maybe we should have been aware of, because this is WE picking up their 5th straight win against Anyone's Legend, dating back to last year type of situation, which again, it's not like things have so drastically changed on either front. This is still a WE that is more or less operating around that lower to middle tier of the LPL, and middle tier is being quite generous in a lot of situations. And then this is an Anyone's Legend that has shown us middle to upper tier in the LPL, even with Tabe moving away from the organization and having to figure out that type of magic all over without him there. But this was very much a disappointing one, and I think individually it's unfortunate, but you got to look at a guy like Breathe. This was not the series that he needed, not the performances that he wanted, and specifically the Gnar game was really the ugly one for me. I think you can look back at some individual plays, ulting the Renekton right into your Xerath, the teleport with the Rage Bar expiring. These are things that just can't happen, of course, for any type of team. Never mind a squad like Anyone's Legend with their goal, with their eyes towards being one of those top teams in the LPL. Dropping and slipping like this to a WE is not the fashion to do so.
And it doubly hurts because, we meme on Hope a lot for hiding on mage picks, but he was actually having a great Xerath game and, was controlling a lot of these team fights. He had 100% kill participation for a little while. So, yes, getting the Renekton tossed into him hurts a little bit, and it hurts even more when Cube picks up both MVPs in this series, opposite of Breathe, who, of course, is that new guy on AL. But AL were trending into easily that second best team in the LPL, and now it just seems like World Elite completely has their number going back to playoffs last split.
And it's going to be one of these ones where you got to make that decision. Is this, just a speed bump? Is this just simply a detour for Anyone's Legend? This is the WE bathroom break, whatever stop it is on the road trip. Or is the road trip over? Do we find out that the engine doesn't work no more? Do we got a busted tire situation that you can't go any further along this journey in the LPL? that's, I think, really going to be the test here for this Anyone's Legend squad. And there's been various little test type of moments since Tabe has left left this squad, where I feel like, it's gone either very positively or very negatively for this squad. This is, I think, going to be really one of those crucial swing points. Never mind for, specifically this year, of course, but for the entirety of just this roster, this core together, this is going to be a real crucial moment of whether you can pivot back to success or if this is going to be one of those hiccups.
And same can be said for IG, who obviously first place throwdown against NIP looked like things were going to be okay. Well, honestly, could have been 3-0 for this. They had a lead. Okay, they stole game 1, but they had a lead in both game 2 and game 3, and just kind of some messy team fighting allowed for NIP to get back into this one. And credit where credit is due, Care and Photic both had fantastic series.
I think this was more so a situation about Care and Photic stepping up than it is about, some of the mistakes and lack of, I think, really clear and concise communication, decision-making on the side of IG that didn't come through on the day. I think that really is kind of where you need to decide, and I think it is mostly, again, as you said, looking at Photic, looking at what they were able to do, how they were able to make that difference in this series, and I want to give them that credit because, again, this is one of those ones where, yes, as much as we love the story and the excitement about how well IG has done this split, there is another squad hanging down around there with them that has also been very impressive and improved in this split, and that is, of course, NIP. And getting this head-to-head is only going to help them in their journey to taking on that upper tier of the LPL.
And again, it's both top 2 squads will be able to make some noise out of this Nirvana group, so good for IG to be tested, good for NIP to get the win, and I think both of these squads can probably beat the bottom 5 for sure in that top group of the LPL, maybe even higher, because even World Elites, Top Esports, and AL all look very beatable still.
They're very much so in a situation where they are waiting for someone to be the destiny changer, right? I think we can look at BLG and their destiny outside of whatever's going to happen off the Rift with Bid and that whole situation. Right now on the Rift with Knight and with Viper playing the way that they are, they seem like that lock in that top spot. Behind them, there's no lock. There's no guarantee. And so if you are able to get into that top tier again, like an NIP, like an IG are on track towards, you certainly can do damage up there in that top tier. So absolutely one of the goals for these squads, but certainly both of them, maybe outside of NIP in this situation, taking a little bit of a dip.
I mean, the fact that IG and Weibo are even in this Nirvana group points to what squads like EDG and LGD did in playoffs last year. So we ain't sleeping on anybody from that bottom group in the LPL. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Absolute stunners. Thanks for hanging out as always. And we'll catch you on that flippity flip.